2, 1. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Wrestling Heroes and Insiders Podcast, aka The WHIP Show. Yes, we are back for another edition, another king-sized edition, a star-making edition today. But as always, guys, I want to thank you for checking us out each and every week. Thank you for going back, listening to all those episodes we've had. You know what we've had on the show. We've had Vince Russo. We've had Michael Riker from Busted Open Radio. We've had Gilbert. Uh-oh, I said Russo. I'm sorry. Anyway.
Cool with me.
I'm being silly, man, but you heard his voice. But guys, one more thing before I bring my great guest on. As you know, the WHIP Show podcast network has been growing. We actually added 2 new podcasters to the network. So go back and check out the coach. Check out the Coach's Corner. You know it's on every single Thursday. And check out the debuting Railing with World Heavyweight Champion Mr. Joe Walker. Another great new podcast to the WHIP Show network. Now, with that being said, I got all that part out the way. It's time to talk to my guy. Let me tell you something. If you don't know about this guy, you don't know about professional wrestling. This man has made stars. He has worked with some of the biggest names in the world of professional wrestling, and he's a king. I want to bring to the stage right now the StarMaker, King Bolin. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing marvelous. Hell, with an introduction like that, I should just log on off and go back to sleep or something.
Oh man,
my God, that's a hell of an introduction there.
I'm trying to bring the energy, so I'm up there with you.
There's a lot of energy, and I am lacking energy today. It's been a rough 3 days, and my energy level's been a little down, but you're pumping me up a little bit. So let's and you gave me an opportunity to cancel the show tonight. You knew I'd had a rough 3 days, this, that, and the other has been one thing. I had a podcast earlier today where I was supposed to have Anthony Scaramucci on, and he got sick. So,
oh man,
so we got to reschedule that for next week. So I ended up doing, I think, 20 minutes by myself, and we still made $150 in donations in 20 minutes. So not too bad.
Hey, see, that's why you're a star maker, man.
I was today.
Always making it happen, man. Now, Kenny. You've been in the business for many years, man. Like
November of 1987 was day one when I officially got in working for Nick Goulas. So it's been quite some time.
Man, and how do you remember that exact date, man? Most guys
because I was so thrilled to be in. Now, I don't know if I remember the exact date that we recorded the interview with Nick Goulas and George Goulas. I could be wrong, but it's on YouTube. It's easy enough to find. Just type in Kenny Bolin and Nick Goulas, but I think it was November 27th of 1987. I could be off a few days on that. I am old. I'm 62 years old. Look at this hair, though. Russo would kill to have this hair.
This is true, man. This is true. But I was gonna say 62 years young. Come on, man.
No, well, many days I feel 62 years young. Today, I don't know. It's I'll be hitting the bed like old people tonight. I should be in bed before midnight tonight.
As long as you take a cocktail with you before you go to sleep.
Then again, I woke up at 4:30 this morning, so woke up like an old person today too. So,
Lord. So Kenny, you talked about starting in '87, man.
Mm-hmm.
As I always like to ask my guests before we really get into the meat of things,
right?
What was your grab? What made Kenny Bolin say, "I want to be in the professional wrestling world"?
Oh, it's very easy. In 1974 is when I first actually got to meet Jerry Lawler in person. And he was not even known as the King yet. I've told this story on a few other shows before, but he wasn't the King yet. It was Jerry Lawler and Jim White with manager Sam Bass. He had not started the King gimmick yet. And I used to wait out in the back alley hoping to get to meet him. And Jim White didn't really talk to me, who I actually became very dear friends with later in life before he passed away. And then Jerry Lawler would never speak to you because he was the ultimate heel. He did not associate with the fans. But every now and then, Sam Bass, the manager, would stop and talk. So Jimmy Hart, of all people, who was not a manager yet, Jimmy Hart used to travel with Lawler to a lot of the shows. And he noticed that I was the only one in the crowd out of 5,000 people that rooted for Jerry Lawler. The only reason I went to the Louisville Gardens is I liked the bad guy, Jerry Lawler. And I started going when I was 14 years old. And I guess at about age 15 or 16, Jimmy Hart noticed me in the crowd. And so they always have an intermission so they can sell their gimmicks and refreshments and all that stuff. So there'd be a couple of intermissions during a wrestling show. So at one of the intermissions, I'm going down and I had to walk right by Jimmy Hart where he was in the exclusive section to where guests and family and friends would sit, which I had not earned my way to be there yet. And he's, hey, kid. He's, come over here a minute. And I don't know who the hell Jimmy Hart is. I didn't realize he was the guy with the Jimmy Hart and the Gentrys and Hang On Sloopy. I didn't know his name, didn't know who he was. I'd never seen him. And he calls me over. He says, hey, man, my name's Jimmy Hart. He says, I'm personal best friends with Jerry Lawler. We went to college together. He said, I noticed you're the only guy in here that roots for him. And he says, those fans give you a lot of shit. I said, I don't care. I'm here to see Jerry the King Lawler, man. I said, he said, have you ever got to meet him? I said, well, I actually hang out in the back to meet the wrestlers when they come in. And I said, Al Green has stopped and talked to me a couple of times. I said, Sam Bass has stopped and talked. Jim White, to say hello. I said, Jerry's never talked to me. He said, man, I've told Jerry about this crazy guy in the stands that roots for him every week. He says, how'd you like to meet him? I said, hell yeah. I said, that'd be great. He says, I tell you what, when the matches are over, you come right here and meet me, and I'm going to take you backstage and let you meet Jerry Lawler. And that's cool as hell. And like I said, he wasn't the king yet. He was not the king. And so he takes me backstage and I meet him, and Chris, and he was very nice. He signed an 8x10 photograph for me that he gave me. And but Christine Jarrett would run in the show, and she didn't like fans being backstage under any circumstances. So she yelled at Jimmy Hart. She kind of yelled at Jerry Lawler a little bit for me being back there, told me to get back to the seats where I came from. And I never got backstage again until me and Jimmy Cornette became friends. He was a photographer and asked me, what the hell was I thinking? Why are you rooting for? They're going to kill you, man. And I said, no, I don't care. I'm here for the king. So Jimmy was a photographer, and him and his mother sat front row. And he said, we don't ever use our seats. He says, Mom's always working a concession stand. And he says, I'm taking pictures. He says, how would you like to have our seats? Maybe bring a friend with you. You all can have the front row instead of being all dangerous up there. You'll be protected down here. I said, well, that sounds pretty good. So after meeting Jimmy, they gave me their front row seats. And that's kind of eventually led to me getting to go backstage every now and then and holding Jerry Lawler's crown during matches. And Jerry Lawler gave me a ride to the store he used to go to. He used to buy me a Big Red and a Big Mac back in 75, 76, 77. And Jerry and I got to be pretty close, but Jimmy got into business, and he assured me that within a few months to a year, I would be in, and that never happened. 7 years go by. I'm still not in the business. And apparently, according to Bill Dundee, Jimmy had never put me over to Jerry Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, or Bill Dundee and let them know that I wanted to be in the business as well. The original plan, because Jimmy wasn't no tough guy. Jimmy wasn't going to beat anybody up. The plan was for him to be a manager, and I was going to be a wrestler. And my goal was to be the guy that took the throne once Jerry became the king. And I've told the story many, many times that he stole the name King from me because in 1974, I was the king of kickball. And there's maybe some truth to that story, maybe some not. But I claimed he stole the title King from me. But he's got a podcast he did where he tells the story about how he got the king gimmick from a wrestler named Bobby Shane. And Bobby Shane, and he gave Lawler the crown and robe and everything to use while he was gone to Australia. But Bobby Shane died in a plane crash. And so Lawler's got a crown and he's got a cape, and Bobby ain't going to need it no more. He's dead. And that's about how plainly Lawler told the story. He didn't seem too all broken up about it.
Right.
So that's truly how he became the king. But on many podcasts, I've claimed he stole it from me. So at age 62, we're all dropping dead around here like flies these days. So I figure on your podcast, I came clean, as Jerry may not have stole it from me. He might not have got it from the king of kickball, but it was about the same time.
Y'all heard
about
that?
The same time.
He gave y'all an exclusive already, but that's between us.
You got an exclusive. Yeah, no one will see this show. I'm not worried about it. Nobody.
But I want to go back and unpack a couple of things that you just said right there. First,
is this the longest you've ever had to shut up on a show hearing that long ass story? Is this the longest you've ever been silent?
Hey, baby, I'm a student of the game. I'm listening right now. There you
go.
But I gotta unpack something. You just first and foremost, you said when they took you to the back, at that time, you know how protected wrestling was. Did
Very
you realize
protected.
what was going
Yes.
on? Like,
oh, I knew what was going on. I knew I was scared to even be back there because I had heard how sacred it was. Jimmy had worked his way back there to take pictures. He was never allowed down in the dressing room. And even he could only be back there exclusively to take pictures. They didn't let him linger around back there, just do whatever he wanted and mess with whoever he wanted. It was still even very strict with him. And oh no, we knew. And we also knew how hard it was to get in the business. And I thought between knowing Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Cornette being my best friend, we've been childhood friends since 74. 75 at least, I was sure that I was going to be in the business a year, no longer than a year. Jimmy'd be in the business a year. He'd say, hey, I got this friend, Kenny. Jerry knows Kenny. He really wants to be in the business. He wants to be a wrestler. Well, after doing some amateur wrestling, I was 212 at Oldham County High. I was never defeated. I wrestled in many different weight classes. Most of them the heavier weight classes. I didn't wrestle in too many lightweight divisions. And I think when I graduated high school, I was 212. When I started wrestling in high school, I was 168. So those were the classes that I was in during the 4 years of wrestling at Oldham County High. So I was a very good amateur wrestling, but at Oldham County. What I would have done on a collegiate level, I have no idea. I don't know if I could competed with Kurt Angle and Sly Turkey and these Olympic wrestlers, but I was pretty damn good in the state of Kentucky. I wrestled all over Kentucky and no one ever beat me. And I would even schedule matches with our own wrestlers at Oldham County just to prove to everybody in Oldham County, I am the king. And once Lawler had a crown, I had a crown. I still got two of them up on top of my monitor here that I've owned since 1979 when I bought my first blue Thunderbird. Bought a 79 Thunderbird, and I put two blue crowns in the back of it on a like a little velvet blanket to set on the back dash. Or the back, whatever you call it. It's not the dash, but whatever you call the back area. And the crown set over the speakers to protect the speakers from getting sun bleached. I think I had Kraco speakers back then. Now I'm talking, that was 1979. This is the year I graduated high school. And I was convinced in 1976, I was the king. I was going to be the guy I could cut a promo in 76. I still don't think I do too bad at age 62. And I was going to be the guy to take Jerry Lawler's place. But as I saw the politics of pro wrestling and the bumps and the 7-night schedules, and sometimes you'd work 8 shows in 7 days, I'm thinking, you know what? That's a lot of damn bumps. That's a lot of blading. That's a lot of shit I don't want to do. So I decided I wanted to be a manager. And I think that is what made Jimmy think, you know what, I'm already down here competing with Jimmy Hart, and he's got the A shows and I got the B shows. Downtown Bruno's down here. Various other managers would come through. And the last thing I need is Kenny in the mix, who's not a bad talker and has a tendency to be able to win people's hearts that maybe Jimmy did not have. And Bill Dundee explained it to me best. He did not want your competition. And that's why you waited 7 years to get in the business. He didn't refer me to Bischoff. He didn't refer me to Vince McMahon. He didn't refer me to Bill Watts or the Von Erichs. I didn't get referred to anybody. I mean, he could have referred me somewhere else that he wasn't at, but I guess he didn't want me in the loop at all. And I didn't realize that for a long time. And so if I hadn't bumped into Nick Goulas in a service merchandise when I was returning a Pioneer surround sound receiver, I'd have never probably got in wrestling because Jimmy wasn't going to make it happen. Jerry Lawler didn't know I even wanted in, and I was counting on Jimmy to lay the groundwork. I thought he was laying the groundwork to Jerry Jarrett, Bill Dundee, Jerry Lawler. And Dundee told me, he says, man, if you'd have come to me and I'd have heard how you could talk and known how much you knew about our business before we ever brought you in. He said, shit, you knew more than Cornette about etiquette. You knew how to get along with people. You knew how not to anger. Jerry Jarrett told me that the reason he hired Cornette as the manager, he said, if he can get as much heat in front of the crowd as he gets backstage, he's going to be a great manager. And that's exactly, he said it on my show. Jerry Jarrett said it on my show. If he can get as much heat backstage, half the heat. He said, if he can get half the heat out there that he gets back here, he's going to be a great manager. He said, but I'm also furious at Jimmy because he never told me about you. And the chemistry that you two had, because he had heard all of our podcasts. He hosted the Great Debate, which I guess if you know anything about me, you've heard the Great Debate. And Jerry Jarrett, after he hosted that debate, he says, I'm furious at Jimmy. He said, can you imagine how much money I could have made with you two? He says, and I wouldn't have had to make either one of you babyface or heel. He said, you could have both stayed heel. The crowd would have hated both of you, but they may have decided to pick one over you or the other. And he says, I think they would have picked Cornette over you. He says, I think you can get more heat than Cornette can. He says, you've got just that natural ability that is as great a heat getter as Cornette is. He plays against you the better babyface. He says, I've never seen you play babyface with Jimmy. It's always Jimmy playing babyface with you because that's the chemistry that works. So you could have still both been heels, but when you two were feuding with each other, they would have rooted for Jimmy over you. So that's how it's always been in podcasting. Yeah. I always took the heel role so Jimmy could be the babyface. And we did the same thing at Ohio Valley Wrestling. I was never the babyface over Jimmy. It was always I was the heel, he was the babyface, because that's what worked best.
Man. Well, you already got your first lesson early in the business about everybody's not as legit and straight up as they say they're going to be.
From my best friend, so they say. So they say.
Man. So you touched on being at OVW. So how did you end up getting over to OVW? Because you had been doing the thing with the King and everything. How did you actually get over there, man, and work with some of those stars?
Of course, I started in Nashville. My first ever pro wrestling match, I managed Tojo Yamamoto against Gypsy Joe. And listen to this shit. I was the ring announcer, the timekeeper, and managed Tojo all in the same night. I had 3 jobs that night. And Tojo went to the back and said, he said, after talking with Kenny and hearing these interviews, and I know he wants to be a manager, he says, why don't you have him manage me in the main event? He says, that way he would have been their ring announcer all night. He time kept the matches that he ring announced. And then all of a sudden, and by the way, Tojo's special manager tonight, me. and Gypsy Joe would be the baby face, and we'd make Tojo the heel. And this is how little I did know about the business. Being as I did ring announce, being as I did timekeep, and being because I was told I'd get $75 for ring announcing and timekeeping that night. All right, this is 1987, $75 one night's work. Do that along with my other job. Yeah, I can make all right. Kroger meat scams factored in, and so I did. So okay, I did 3 jobs tonight. So that's 75. That's 150. That's 225. They owe me 225. That's what I thought. So I go to the back, and they hand me they didn't even hand me the $75. They told me it was going to be an IOU. I said 75. That's why I did 3 jobs tonight. As a ring announcer, timekeeper, and I managed Tojo. I said that's 225. Oh no, you just no. I did 3 jobs. I get paid 3 times. Kenny, this is your first night in the business. I said, in the first night in the business, I worked 3 jobs, and I did all 3 of them well. I'm a pretty damn good ring announcer. I'm a good television commentator, as you've seen in these pre-interviews we've done. And I had a lot of confidence for a guy whose first day is in the goddamn business. And I said, as I showed you, I'm a pretty damn good manager too. I said, I've been studying this business since I was 12 years old. I've been backstage since I was 14, off and on. I know this business. I know how to do it. I'm not your typical Johnny come lately that'll come in here and pay $50 to be on these shows. I get paid. I bring something to the table. I booked this building in Birmingham, Alabama. I booked the damn building. I should get a commission off that. I should get $300. I should get a commission for booking the damn building. So I'm talking to Nick Goulas, Tojo, Gypsy Joe, whoever will listen. And they tell me, well, I'm going to take $75 and I'm going to like it. And I got to work my way up to the top. I said, I'm at the top. I'm doing all the jobs. I booked the building. I managed Tojo. I ring announced. I timekeep. I'm at the top of it. No one else here did it. No one else here could book the building. No one. So no, you're not going to do that to me. First day in the damn business. So they tell me I need to come to Nick's house to get paid. So I go to Nick's house, and I had to make 3 trips to his house. And no, I didn't get the $300. No, I didn't get the $225. They paid me the $75 they told me I was going to get. Took me 3 trips to get it. And then eventually that because I got to get to answering your question. Then I came up and started doing some IWA shows as a favor for Dennis Corluzza, who passed away way too young. And he was what a character he was. And was, I think, president of the NWA for a while, I believe. Yep. I'm looking over here because the camera's here and my 70-inch monitor's here.
Oh, okay.
So when I'm looking here, I'm looking at you. And when I'm looking there, I'm trying to patronize the audience and look at the camera. So as a favor to Dennis Corluzza, I'd only worked for Nick Goulas at that time, and a little bit in Smoky Mountain with Jimmy. I'd go down and ring announce and timekeep and do some backstage production shit like that. Nothing of any real big deal. And then Corluzza says, man, he says, you got a gift that maybe Cornette doesn't even have. And Dennis Corluzza booked me on the Eddie Gilbert Memorial after seeing what I could do at these shows when I come and helped him in Louisville. And Jimmy, I think Jimmy did refer me to Dennis Corluzza once I was already in with Nick Goulas, if memory serves me correctly, because he had to find me somehow. So I did a real good job. But the problem in IWA, I was managing 7 out of 11 matches, heel manager, promo every freaking match. Do you know how hard it is to come up with new material every damn match for 7 different people? And one of my favorite segments I ever did is that people that noticed that I didn't have any black wrestlers to manage. So I started of course, I'm in the South End, redneck hell, and people are calling me a racist. You're a racist. I said, I'll address that situation next week. I'll address my racism next week. So I came to the ring and I had Flash Flanagan with me, if you know who Flash Flanagan is.
Absolutely.
Walking around the ring, I said, there's been a few of you all out here that have evaluated my stable. You see me out here 7, 8, 9 matches a night, and you've noticed that there's a certain type of wrestlers that I don't have out here with me. And you're right. You're right. And I must confess, I am a racist. And I look around this arena and I see a lot of you I do not like. I don't like you, and I'm pointing, and I'm trying to find where black fans are sitting so I can point in that direction. And I look over there. No, don't like you. You're a piece of shit. And you could cuss on Ian's shows. The language could be as foul as you want. You could say, what's your language like on this show?
Oh, you can go ahead. You can say whatever.
All right. Yeah, you can say fuck, whatever. It didn't matter. So I'm trying to find black fans, and we're in the South End of Louisville. There's not a lot of black fans there, but I'm looking to where I can find some.
Right.
And I'm pointing. I said, now, is it obvious about my racism? You're right. I'm a racist. I hate stupid fucking white people. So that was how we got that going. So now we got the whole goddamn building, and the black people are cheering. There's not many, but they're cheering. Hey, he hates these fucking white people. All right. And so that was one of my favorite things I ever got to do with that company. I'm a racist. I'll admit it. I hate stupid fucking white. And I've used that a million times since then on podcasts or whatever. Yeah, call me a racist, you motherfucker. I hate stupid fucking white people. Still feel that way today. That's why I hate the Republican Party.
Bruh. Okay.
Don't know how political you get on this show, but I can go there too.
We go ever, baby. Okay, so have you always had this energy? Like you just said, your first night at this company, you're like, hey, you got to pay me. You know, most guys are so timid. They're scared to make any waves. Were you always like that?
Yes, because I did the same thing to Danny Davis. The Danny Davis recruits me from Ian Rotten shows because they're barbed wire bats, blood every goddamn night. And they're getting to the point now they want me to work a King of the Death match in Southern Indiana because there's no athletic commission. You can do anything over there you want. They want me to take a bump into a fish tank full of piranha and take my chances. I said, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. I said, I won't blade. No one hits me with a goddamn chair. No, I'm not going to take a bump to a goddamn fish tank. Well, you won't be booked on that show. I said, good. Let somebody else go out there and cut the 7 fucking promos that night. It won't be me. I am not going to work King of the Death match. I don't make that fucking much money here. They were paying me about $75 to $100 a night because they thought it was going to lead to Cornette coming and booking IWA shows because they knew he wanted out of WWE. And we were looking to start a developmental company. And he will lie about it to this day and tell you that Ian was never under consideration, but he was. He was sending down promos. He was telling everybody what to do. Some WWE talent was already working those Ian Rotten shows, like Salvatore Sincere. Salvatore was the first ever WWE wrestler that I ever managed, and we had a great relationship. As a matter of fact, my name had not been officially legally changed to Bolin yet. So all the boys knew my adopted name of Ryzen, and Salvatore Sincere nicknamed me Bad Moon Ryzen. And that's what my son wanted me to be called. He's man. He said, I wish you'd never changed your name. He said, I'd rather be Ryzen. Bad Moon Ryzen's a pretty cool name. I said, yeah, now it sounds like Bad Moon Bolin ain't shit, but Bad Moon Rising's a whole nother deal. So I could have been Bad Moon Rising thanks to Salvatore Sincere, but never got that opportunity. But Danny Davis come over there for the Eddie Gilbert Memorial we did. And people knew that me and Eddie didn't get along particularly well. We had an amateur wrestling match at Rupp Arena to where I beat him for some money. And Wasn't anybody supposed to know about it, but we did it, and had some fun doing it. But we did not like each other. I ended up with one of his girlfriends, and she badmouthed how big Eddie's penis was and shit like that. And I made sure everybody knew what her report was.
Oh man.
And it was like that old joke. Well, it ain't too bad once you get past the use part. So, and you're not supposed to tell that joke anymore, but I just did. So me and Eddie didn't particularly like each other. So we're doing the Eddie Gilbert Memorial, but me and Doug got along great. I love Doug. I hear he doesn't like me now. I don't know what. Maybe he's heard me tell these stories about his brother. I don't know. But I had no problem with Doug. I hear he does not like me anymore. Whatever. I'll pull through. So I'm managing Doug, and for the Eddie Gilbert Memorial, they bring in Tommy Gilbert, and I'm managing with assistant manager Tommy Gilbert. I'm managing like I think Freebird, Terry Gordy, okay, Doug Gilbert, and I think Hustler Rip Rogers. I think those were the three. And they want me to cut a promo bad-mouthing Eddie. And Eddie hadn't been dead very long. I was in Memphis, not Memphis, but Knoxville the night that Eddie died. I'm the one that told Jerry Lawler that he didn't have an opponent that night. And I remember going to him and telling him, I said, Jerry, I said, I don't know if you've heard or not. He said, heard what? I said, well, your main event tonight was supposed to be with Eddie Gilbert. I said, but I just got word they found him dead in his hotel. And I really shouldn't say what he said next, because I don't know if he's ever made that public, but Jerry suspected what the cause of death was. And I said, that's what I heard. He said, He said, so who's my opponent going to be? I said, I don't know. And I think it ended up being Bobby Blaze. I think Bobby Blaze ended up taking Gilbert's place that night. But Jerry that night, to me, didn't seem to be, I mean, it's like, yeah, it's bound to happen. I mean, that was just kind of the attitude that I detected that night. Right. And so I was the one that told him. Okay. I had found out Jimmy was doing other shit. Jimmy's booking Knoxville. So, you know, he was a little busy, and I hung out with Jerry most of the night anyway, because I was Jerry's special guest ring announcer. It was my job to introduce him for that night, my super fan, whatever. And plus I was working for Cornette a little bit with Smokey, and had just got done doing Nick Goulis's work and was doing some IWA work. But Danny Davis ran into me at IWA, and he says, Kenny, I got to get you out of here. I said, what do you mean? He says, I know you're working both for this company, but how'd you like to come work for me? I said, well, they do shows over here on Tuesday. You do tapings on Wednesdays. Why don't I just do Tuesday, knock them over and do your show? All right, I guess we could start out like that. So I did about 6 or 8 weeks with both companies. And I also did the Eddie Gilbert Memorial in Philadelphia. And that was a lot of fun. Dennis Corluzza made sure I was booked on that. And again, they put me in like 5 matches, including an arm wrestling match with Sonny and Gold Dust lady, Marlena. Yeah. And of course, Sonny no-showed. Of course, so of course. Me and Marlena end up doing a bit. But Psycho Sid did show up, by the way.
For real? Are you serious?
I'd been booked on 4 shows with Psycho Sid, and that was the only one that we got to work together. Because I think he worked King Kong Bundy that night. Okay. I'm trying to go by memory. This was 1997. So they have me come out there to be the special guest referee of the arm wrestling match. I'm going to be the referee for Sonny and Marlena, and it turns out not happening. So I ended up just doing a promo with Marlena, convincing her, because it was public that her and Goldust were having problems. Right. And I said, I hear that that guy you got sleeping with you now ain't getting the job done. I said, right here, baby, I'm your man. I'll take care of those needs for you. And so I'm trying to woo her with all the shit you can't say in this day and age. Right. Letting her know that I'm going to do everything that Goldust can't do. And she said, well, I tell you what, Kenny, she says, let me think about it. I said, think about it. I said, I tell you what, why don't you just give me a big kiss right on the lips right here? And I think one kiss from me, and you're going to realize who the man is. So she's, all right, okay, Kenny, that's fair. She said, close your eyes. So I pucker up and close my eyes, and she slaps the dog. Let's go. So we didn't have the arm wrestling match, but I got to get bitch slapped by Marlena. So that was all right. Let me ask you something. Kenny, let me jump in. So eventually Danny Davis recruits me over to OVW. Yeah. And he asked me to leave. I said, well, they're wanting me to do this goddamn Piranha match with the King of the Death. No, Danny, just put me together some type of contract. Don't insult me, and I'll quit Ian, and I'll come over and work for you. So, and he set me up a pretty good deal because they knew I could sell the advertising for the show. And there's been some people that made comments. They said there's no way that Bolin was making $100,000 a year at OVW. Nobody makes that kind of money working for an independent. Well, nobody but me, because I sold all the advertising. We got the WWE contract. Now I get to sell personal appearances. I was making 34% selling cookware. I'll be goddamn, I'm going to make 34% selling advertising. And it killed Danny. Danny's a tightwad from hell. He didn't want to cut me, checks for 34% on advertising and personal appearance sales. I said, well, Danny, you can either have the, let me do the math here, the 66% that's left, and that's a lot of money, or you can have nothing. Would you like to have the 66% and I get 34, or you get nothing because you got nobody else here that can do it? Jimmy's not a people person. You're not a people person. I can get along with anybody. I can walk into WHAS studios today and get a contract. I said, I can go to every car dealer in town and get a contract. I can walk into any pawn shop and get a contract. You ain't got anybody else here that can do that. And I ain't doing the shit for free. It ain't like you're all paying me big money to be here, but I can make big money if I use my salesmanship. And I am a professional salesman. I did that before I got into pro wrestling. I sold cookware door to door for $3,000 a set. If I can do that, I can hang your goddamn $1,200 banners. So they agreed to pay me my 34%, and that's what I made selling personal appearances. And so if I book Steve Austin to do a $10,000 personal appearance at the Louisville Gardens, and he's got Star Ford or Paul Miller Ford's banner hanging up behind him, he gets 10 grand. Well, I get 30% of that. That's 30% of my money. And that's the deal. If Big Show gets paid $5 grand, I get 30% of that. If Kane gets $5 grand, I get 30%. If the Hardy Boys get 7,500, I get so you do that all year, booking these WWE stars and then hanging four to eight banners on every television show at $1,300 a month. Yeah, and I'm getting free cars from Paul Miller Ford and Star Ford. I get free furniture. And now the WWF is giving me 2,000 tickets 2 and 3 times a year to pass out to people to make sure they fill the upper decks at the shows. What do you think I'm giving those goddamn tickets away? Fuck no, they're $35 a pop. So, and Jimmy knew what I was doing with them. I was told to give them away. I said, well, that's one thing I could do. Or I could sell these some bitches for $20, $10. Now, I did give a shitload away to school. I'd go to Catholic schools and give tickets away. Wherever my son was going to school at, he went to a couple of different schools. I'd go in there and give away 300 tickets. Well, I still had 1,700 I could fucking sell. So no, it was and I didn't pay for anything. I didn't pay for food for the 17 years I was at OVW. I could eat anywhere in town. And Al Snow talked about it on my show last week. He says Kenny was the biggest star in the company. Kenny owned Louisville. Kenny didn't pay for shit. And the WWE guys would say, well, why does Kenny get everything? And we're the contracted star. We don't get shit. He says, because Kenny is a star from the time he wakes up in the morning till he goes to bed at night. When Kenny walks through the doors, he lets everybody know he's the big star. He's the big show. When he leaves, he ain't out there signing autographs and kissing babies. He's being a heel, going to his car and telling everybody what pieces of shit they are. You guys, you're out there being whoever the fuck you are when you walk in. You come in here, you turn it on for your 12 minutes in the ring, and then you go outside and you act like you're not a star. Kenny knows he's a star, so he acts like one. You guys don't know how to be a star. And Al Snow told him that at one of the post-match meetings one day. And they're all sitting around at each other like, God damn, I got to be a star 24 hours a day. Well, Jerry Lawler was a star 24 hours a day. Bill Dundee was a star. Handsome Jimmy. They didn't fucking turn it off and just act like, God damn, I'm one of you. You all want to play cards. You want to fucking go over here and have a hamburger together. And it took years before Lawler treated me like that to where we could go to McDonald's and have a hamburger and a Big Mac and a Big Red. So if you don't act like a star, you're not going to be one. And you can see it in the WWE today. There's some people that realize they're a star, not as many as there used to be. And there's some people that just ain't figured it out. And OVW was filled with people that had not figured it out at that time. Don't tell me that John Cena don't realize he's a star. Dave Bautista realizes he's a star. Dave and I didn't get along that well when he was with the company, but he realizes he's a star. You name them, Brock Lesnar, all these guys. And I guarantee you they're not out there being your buddy and just oh, I'm just a mark like you. You know, they're not doing
Right,
that.
right.
You know, you got to know when to turn it on. So I've talked a lot. Why don't you
Oh man.
why don't you get your shit in now?
Oh man, I'm telling you, I'm loving this right now. And matter of fact, fans and especially you wrestlers is going to be watching this. He's giving you a lesson. Be a star 24/7. Be a star. I shouldn't be going to hang out with you like getting a Big Red and a Big Mac if I'm not in the business. And even then, make that cashier know who you are. Make her know exactly who you are.
And let me name you another one. He might not be the most popular wrestler now since that Dark Side of the Moon or whatever that damn show is. Ric Flair. But Jimmy, I remember telling me, I didn't know Flair that well at the time, but Flair and I got to be pretty good friends around 86 because he made a $1,000 bet with me. And no, it wasn't a straight up $1,000 bet. He said, I bet you 10-1 North Carolina will beat Louisville in the NCAA tournament. I said 10-1. I said, so in other words, if I bet $100, you'll bet 1,000 that North Carolina will beat Louisville. You got it, brother. I said, all right, that's a bet. I said, I got it. Now, if you lose, you got to pay me your 100. I said, I'll pay my 100. Jimmy said, yeah, he'll pay you. I'll make sure he pays you. And so they play the game, NCAA tournament, 1986. Louisville beats North Carolina by 23. It's a few more weeks before I get to see Flair because I'm meeting him and Jimmy in Cincinnati. I'm picking up Jimmy at the airport. Flair happens to be there. I'm Jimmy's ride to the arena at the Cincinnati Gardens that night. Flair gets off the plane. I said, hey, Nature Boy. I said, you know that North Carolina Louisville game? We had a bet on that. And he said, yeah. I said, you bet me $1,000 to $100 that North Carolina would win. I said, we beat you guys by 23. I said, you owe me $1,000, Rick. He says, you don't really think I'm going to pay you, do you? I said, yeah, I do. I said, I think you're a man of your word. You made the bet in front of witnesses. I said, I think you'll pay me. He said, no, brother, not paying you. Not going to pay you the $1,000. And you know who made him pay?
Who?
Beautiful Bobby Eaton, who just passed away not long ago. Yeah. Beautiful Bobby says, Rick, that ain't right. And Bobby called me a kid, and I think I might be older than Bobby. I don't know. We're close. And he says, you bet that kid $1,000 to $100, and he would have paid you. He says, I've known Kenny for many years. Kenny would have paid you if he lost. Rick, you got to pay him. You got to honor it. And Rick's disgusted. He's like, right. So he pulls out his wallet, counts out 10 $100 bills. He's got more than that in his goddamn wallet. Counts out $1,000 in $100 bills. Counts them out in my hand 1, 2, and he's making it slow. He's making me work for it. He says, ha, brother, there's your $1,000. You know what that is to me? That was my dinner money tonight. I said, brother. I said, you know what that is to me? That's my rent for the next 4 months. So that's what it was. I was paying $250 a month rent at Nob Hill Apartments in 1986. So he paid my rent for 4 months. I was thrilled. He can blow that on dinner if he wants, but it's my rent money. I'm set for a while. Blow my paycheck.
Listening to you here, you definitely were the boss of Louisville, man. And you talked earlier about some of the guys that you managed. Now we know Cena, we know Rene Dupree, but could you really list off some of these guys that you saw early, man? And like, did you know what they were going to be, what they were?
I had a good idea in the early goings. One of them that didn't become as big a star as I thought he would was Sylvester Turkey. Sly Turkey was among the first people I managed. Bull Buchanan was the very first. You remember Bull Buchanan with the what was the name of their group? The Right to Censor. Right to Censor.
He ended up doing some stuff with Cena later on too, as B Squared.
They became a tag team and went to Japan, I think. And we're a tag team together. And I think they tagged a little bit on WWE.
Yeah, they did.
That rapping gimmick that they gave Cena. So Bull Buchanan was the very first WWE contract guy I sent out. I remember Jimmy Cornette making a big deal out of it. He come to me, he says, well, congratulations, man. I said, what's that? He says, your first guy just got called up to the WWE today. I said, really? I said, Bull? He said, Bull got called up. I said, well, that's pretty damn cool. I said, I've actually managed one that's made it. Never knowing there was going to be 53 more after that. You know, you think, you knew Bull was going to go. I was sure that Turkey was going to go. It just didn't work out for him as good as I was hoping it would. You knew Henry was going to go back up. I was managing Mark Henry at that time. Rico, I felt pretty good about, but Rico was 40 and they didn't realize he was 40 when we got him. And they really kind of fucked with him a little bit. And as a matter of fact, they released him. They had cut him. And but Stone Cold Steve Austin had come down here and worked the show with us at the Louisville Gardens. And he worked with me and Rico that night. because Russ McCullough, the big 7-footer, had fucked up and said and did some shit he shouldn't have done. And he got took out of the match and Rico got put in it. So McCullough fucked himself out of a segment with Steve Austin at the Louisville Gardens in front of 5,600 people, which is sold out. That's a big deal for Louisville Gardens. It's also the night that I advertised him out for $10,000 and made $3,000 for him to set with Star Forward. So I'd already made $3,000 just off him alone, and then quite a bit more money off other stars that I'd booked that night for their personal appearance. And so it was a great night for me. I probably cleared $6,000 that night, just off personal appearance money. And and now I'm getting to do the bit with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I bought his beer that night. I picked up all the beer he was going to need for the segment, went down, met with him and Jim Ross down in the locker room, and Steve said, "Man, you got me some beer, man. I appreciate that." I said, "That's all right. The least I can do to get the working angle with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Why don't you drink a beer with me?" I said, "Well, Steve, I don't drink, but let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to drink a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin." I said, "I don't drink. I've never been drunk a day in my life." "God damn, man, how you get around? How do you live?" Said, "No, not drunk." I said, "But I'm going to drink a cold one with you." So we got him ice cold beer. We banged the beers and drank a beer down with Jim Ross. And so we're talking about how the match is going to go. And Rico's supposed to take the stunner. I said, "So, all right, well, I'll hang around. You know, I won't get out of the ring." I said, "When do I get my stunner?" "No, man, that's going to take the heat off Rico." This is what Jim Ross is saying. Austin was all for it. "Yeah, I'll stun your ass. I don't give a shit." So, but Ross says, "No, that's going to take the heat off Rico. This is to keep the heat on Rico. If you get a stunner, all the heat's going to be on you. And we're trying to get Rico to the WWE. You're here developing guys for us." I said, "All right, I get it." I said, "I'm disappointed. I'd like to have gotten a stunner, but so I still hung around in the ring anyway in case he changed his mind." And Jimmy was pissed that I didn't roll out of the ring when the shit went south. No, I was hoping I was going to get a stunner. Steve comes over, I'm taking a stunner regardless of what you all called. So I didn't get my stunner. Rico did, and he took it beautifully. I could not have topped what Rico did on that stunner, and it was pretty cool. And I don't know where I was going with that story. What were you trying to get out of me?
I don't remember. Oh, I was talking about the guys
you wanted a list of people. So Bull Buchanan, Mark Henry, Sylvester Turkey, Rico. But Cena went up before Rico did. Cena got called up before. No, I take that back. I think Rico went first. But Rico had been released. Stone Cold Steve Austin arranges a meeting with Stephanie McMahon and says, "Hey, I've worked with this guy. This guy's got what it takes. This guy's got something. You're releasing him anyway. You're going to be paying him for the next 90 days. So why don't we put," and this is all Austin, with Stephanie McMahon, with me and Danny Davis and Jimmy Cornette nearby. He says, "Why don't we put Rico on the road for 90 days? And if you don't like what you see, cut him, because you're going to pay him anyway. So don't let him sit at home and collect 90 days of pay. Let him work. And if he shows you something, sign him to a contract and let's get some use out of him, because I'm telling you, Rico's got what it takes." And McMahon didn't care for Cena. He didn't get it. And if you watch the first ever, what were the name of that series of DVDs? Because I made a few of my own. God damn, I can't remember the name of the first DVD that Cena was in.
I forget. I know what you're talking about. I forget the name of it too.
Yeah, but me and Danny Davis were in it, and me and Danny said, "Yeah, we knew he'd be a star. We didn't give a shit if he could wrestle or not. He could talk his ass off, and he could talk you to the ring, and we didn't care if he knew 3, 4, 5 moves." And Vince said, "I didn't get it. They cut the event. I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I was ready to let him go, and he was, and I don't think Cena knew they were ready to let him go, because he was going to be let go right about the same time that Rico was." But no, Vince said he didn't get it, and me and Jimmy and Danny all three agreed this guy's going to be a big ass star. He was so good. I sold him to Mark Cuban, not knowing that Vince didn't get it. And that's how I got Mark Cuban involved with us. I wrote him on web TV, told him what I wanted to do. He wanted me to come to Memphis and bring Cena with me, and we'd shoot some interviews. I said, that's about a 15-hour round trip drive, and I don't like to fly. I said, "You're going to be in Indianapolis in 3 weeks." I said, "Why don't we drive up to Indianapolis?" "Oh, okay. You live close to Indianapolis?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Our training camp's in Louisville." "Well, shit, Kenny." He says, "I'll just send you a limo to your house, pick you up, bring you all up. We'll treat you good. We'll give you 15, 20 minutes to record anything you want. Take it back and use it however you want." I said, "That's great." I said, "The limo." So he sends the limo. Cena thinks it's all a rib. Cena doesn't think this shit's happening because Jimmy didn't think it was going to happen.
Right.
Jimmy shitting all over it. He didn't even want to give me the cameraman, but the cameraman was a good friend of mine. So I took a cameraman. I took my brother, my son, Cena, and that was it. And the limo driver. So the limo driver takes us up there and drops us off, and they treat us like kings. We get catering with the press. Then we get a little time with the players. We get to participate in a shoot around, walked around the court with our little passes on and everything. I got to shoot around with Tim Hardaway and Dirk Nowitzki and those people. And I was bragging about I could shoot threes better than Tim Hardaway. Well, there was a time I might have been able to. I don't know if I could do it at that time at age 40, 41, or whatever I was. But I could still shoot pretty good. You know, I hadn't gotten real fat yet. I could still shoot a three pretty good. I impressed a few Mavericks. We'll just say that. And I'm doing this shit in a suit. If I'd have had my shorts on, I'd have dunked on Hardaway.
Let's go.
I'd have schooled his ass.
Let's go.
But I wasn't there to show anybody up. I wasn't there to make Dirk Nowitzki look bad. I'm there for other reasons. This is not my time to be showing everybody that I could have been an NBA basketball player too. Yeah. How many goddamn professional sports? I did hit a home run in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Did you know that?
No, I did not, man. I
hit it off Ric Flair. we played some baseball before one of the Great American Bashes, and that was when David Allen Cole was there. And who's the hippie that still sells marijuana with the pigtails?
Willie Nelson.
Willie Nelson, yeah, Willie Nelson was there. David Allen Cole, and one other country singer. They loved the wrestling, man. They loved it with a passion. And Bobby Eaton was the left fielder, and Ric Flair was pitcher. And I love playing baseball, and we were using the Atlanta Braves equipment. It was in the dugout, and we just went in there and grabbed some bats and gloves. I'm left-handed. I'm using a right-handed glove, putting it on my hand as a left-hander, and hit a home run in Atlanta Fulton County Stadium off Ric Flair. And I also hit a home run with the Louisville Bats team. They let me take batting practice because me and the manager of the Bats got to be very good friends, and so I got to take batting practice with the Cincinnati Reds AAA farm team. And Grant Jackson, who's a Hall of Famer, is pitching batting practice. And I knew who the fuck Grant Jackson was. And so I'm in there to fucking get some hits. And I hit a home run off Grant Jackson in batting practice. Dave Miley, the manager, got pissed because I made the batting practice pitcher look bad. Miley takes the ball, next pitch up and in around my head. He tried to bean me. Also, he said my homer didn't count because I used an aluminum bat. I had an aluminum bat I really liked. I said, well, in college, they use aluminum bats, and I've had this bat since college. And I used this at Trevecca Nazarene College and hit a lot of home runs with this bat. I said, and I just felt comfortable with it. Well, if you'd have done it with a wooden bat, we'd have been impressed, but you cheated. You used an aluminum bat. I said, well, I still hit a home run off Grant Jackson. No one's going to remember the TPX bat that I used. So as you can tell, I can't get along with anybody.
Y'all hear this, man? You didn't know Kenny Bolin was like Bo Jackson also, man.
Oh, shit. I could run up an outfield wall, and I could run through an offensive line and run down the tunnel with a football under my arm. Why is Rene Dupree gawking at me in the background? What the hell's going on with that?
Oh, man. So
another guy sent to the WWE.
Shift gears right quick, because this is a segment we... Oh, man. Y'all get some great stuff here, guys.
Bo Jackson, Bolin, motherfuckers. Bolin.
Bolin knows everything.
Bolin, I do. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Well, Kenny,
you better be glad I didn't take up checkers. I'd have been king of that as well. But baseball, basketball, and football I was pretty good at. Lacrosse, not so much.
Oh, but you literally tried. You played everything.
Play some putt-putt. I could play some putt-putt. I couldn't golf, but I could play putt-putt. Oh, I took putt-putt very seriously. Not on the golf course, not so much.
Well, Kenny, this next segment is called your mark out moment. Now, I'm not talking about you see somebody and you're like, oh my God, and you go crazy. Okay. But even though we know Kenny Bolin is a star and he's the star maker, everybody that ever been in the business might have had one moment that you're like in a locker room or you're somewhere and you're like, I can't believe I'm working with such